Dublin, you keep bluffing, you've got nothing, I'll keep hustling.
Welcome to Crypto MC. It's been a while. Hello Lee, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, and you? I'm always good on a Tuesday, Wednesday when it is Champions League night and everything. Can't wait to be tonight.
So Lee goes and trades late, and then he actually just watches the game. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, I don't trade when I watch the game.
Right, guys. So we've got a few things I want to discuss with you. Look, the tech stocks took a hit. You've seen Facebook. This is Amazon down 19% last week. You've got Facebook down 30%. We've got Microsoft. Let's see where Microsoft is at. Microsoft is down. It went down 10%. It's rallying a little bit. Let's have a look at Tesla. Tesla is finding some sort of a support level there. But in general, tech stocks is doing bad. Now, before you start reminding me that this is indeed a crypto channel, and I do agree, we all know that crypto and Bitcoin in essence is correlated, or that's a narrative that we've been comfortable trading and investing towards, that everything is correlated. So if the S&P goes down, Bitcoin goes down because dollar is going up and so forth. But today I've got a completely different picture that I want to share with you guys in regards to that. And it's going to answer a few fundamental questions regarding, should we still be holding our Bitcoin? And that's something that I think we always have to reconsider and recheck. Remember, when we have a big time frame prediction, it is with the information that was at hand at that moment. And 2-3 weeks goes by, and it's easy to lose sight of what was said and why it was said. So it's always important that we go back and look at our bigger time frame thesis and make sure that any and every new information that we receive on that gets filtered and factored into the equation. Okay, so let's get into this then. One big thing that I would want to say, Lee, is the correlation. If I bring up the Dixie chart, we kind of already know that if this is the case, if the Dixie goes up, Bitcoin is going to go down and so forth. So looking at the DXY, we would want to start seeing some true negativity here in order for that idea to manifest into the fact that Bitcoin can maybe do a little bit of a rally. So until we start seeing some weakness in that regard, we cannot look at that. And we have to trade defensively as well, not just trade the whole one narrative. And that's why later today, I'm going to show you why we said we want to short the 20,800 level. And I'm actually going to share my setup on that as well, because looking at this on a lower time frame, I've got a few ideas of where I would want to try and get a juicy short in. So the short, well, if I get everything wrong and my whole narrative is out whack, I've got a short to cover myself. I've got a long to play the narrative that I'm in. But if I get it wrong, I've got this short that I'm going to take to cover myself. Because remember, I said it, I always say this, it's not about being right. It's what we're trying to do here is to make money. That's the end goal. And I actually just want to make sure that I cover myself both ways. Lee, when we normally look at the market, what do we say? It can either go up or down, but it cannot. That's it. So that's all that we need to do. We need to figure out where we want to go to trade it to the upside, and we need to figure out where we want to go if we're wrong. And if we hedge a position, especially because we're in a lateral range, you know what? It's going to take away the worry and the risk, because we're going to be covered both ways. Then we can sit back and let the rest of the market figure out where it wants to go. Okay, so that said, I want to bring back this chart over here quickly, the Dixie. So let's talk Dixie quickly. Now, looking at the Dixie, Lee, in your opinion, have we done what's needed for us to call this a top?
You are on the weekly chart?
Yeah,
On the
weekly
weekly
chart.
charts? No, not yet.
I so hoped that you were going to say something different, but that's my narrative as well, and that's a reality that we need to face now. That at the moment the dollar is not weak enough.
Then
Now,
let me change it. The top is in.
okay, thank you, guys. Lee says the top is in, so we covered both ways. I say the top isn't necessarily in, and Lee's doing it, so we covered. Whatever happens, Crypto MC cannot get it wrong from this point on going forward. But okay, jokes aside, the weekly is not giving me that just yet, which means if I were to go back to Bitcoin on the weekly, I cannot start daydreaming about this target over here. It's not in play just yet. I'm trading the hope and the possibility that that does play out, but the Dixie is not giving it to me. Now, off the back of that, we had Amazon big reversal, and I think our tile actually, if I'm not mistaken, is the worst is yet to come, and we've got Jeff Bezos and the Meta founder there as well, and the reason for that is simply put. These are big companies, and when we look at their stock prices, the way that people are buying these stocks is always forward-looking, meaning if I were to buy Facebook now, the idea is that I'm buying for a purpose there. If I'm shorting Facebook now, I'm shorting for a purpose somewhere down there, but it's always forward-looking. And if we look at the revenue and the statements that they gave, if we look at Amazon, let's use Amazon as an example. Amazon had a projected profit income of about 127, I think, billion, 27.6, and it got 127.1. So it missed with 500 million or 500 million or somewhere around that level, which is insignificant. But why the big sell-off? The reason why that all these companies are taking big knocks is the fact that their future projections of what their costs are going to be to run them is much higher. So if you're looking at that, and I'm saying to you, invest in my business, I am making 5% profit a day or a month for whatever. But next year, my business cost is going to double. Then you're going to rethink what it is, because the profit that I'm showing now, if my business costs are going to go up, is necessarily not going to have the same profit then, especially if I'm still on the belief that the market and the Fed's goal is to cool the market down. So these tech stocks, these tech companies, or these giant Microsoft, these giant companies suffer from the following problem. They have a situation where they know that because of the increasing rates, their cost to do business is going up. And because of the increasing rates, their profits coming down. Because remember, let's use Microsoft as example. If they were to sell a software package in Europe or in South Africa for that matter, the money that they sell it for is going to be in our local currency. I buy it with my rands, or you will buy it with your euro. And they will bring that local currency back to the dollar. And if the dollar is strong as it is now, they are getting way less dollars for their service. So their income is coming down. And that's the one part of the problem. And now because of that, their own internal operating costs are going up. So their profits their profit margin is coming down. And that is why they're selling off. That's why we see this. So now the big narrative that we've been fed for the last few months, and I mean, I've been subscribing to that as well, is that everything is correlated. But I want to plant this seed with you guys today, is that although there is the correlation between cryptos and tech stocks and the S&P 500 and so forth, but crypto, Bitcoin, in its the way that it functions, doesn't suffer from the same problems as these tech stocks. So although they might be selling down because their price is forward looking, we don't have Bitcoin needing to pay rent. You don't have any of those problems. And that is where I think that we need to start maybe looking at a different narrative, a narrative of that if this keeps on happening, that Bitcoin might now for a short time decouple from the legacy markets, meaning that if they go down, Bitcoin's going to go up. Now I see Lee smile. Fibonacci Lee, what's your thought, buddy?
That decouple narrative from Bitcoin, and okay. I believed once, I believed it once, I believed it twice, fool me once. What do we say? Fool me once, shame on me.
Fool me twice?
No, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me once, fool me twice, shame on me. And then what is the third time? No.
I don't know. There's no third time. There's only two. But the reality is, looking at this, I'm thinking that might happen for a short duration of time. Remember, like I said, big short macro events has the ability. Yeah, that was the statement. So remember, macro events have the ability to influence us all in a certain way. So we have to be mindful of that. But okay, now that we have this idea, now the closing argument that I have is, when we look at these stocks, we look at Amazon stock, we look at Meta and so forth. What these guys are going to do to try and curb their cost to do business is to give layoffs, to start creating unemployment. And that will then start, hopefully, force the Fed to stop reducing the rates. So I'm kind of sitting on a balancing beam at this stage, because remember, we're still within what the Fed said they will do. They're still probably going to raise 75 basis points. But I think that the rest of the market is preparing for the Fed to start reducing that to 50 or even 25. And if unemployment then starts doing what it's supposed to do, if these big companies start feeling the pain and start doing the layoff, the Fed's going to be forced to stop. And that's then going to bring a whole positive image or an outlook to what would at that stage probably be already a good performing crypto market, and will create that hype, similar to the DOGE pump. When Elon said something about DOGE and Twitter and payments, all of a sudden we saw DOGE fly and take off. Now, we're going to talk about DOGE a little bit later and whether we should be buying DOGE now or whether we can trade DOGE now. I do remember Lee posting a nice trade setup. Lee, so how's that trade setup doing?
Perfect. Hit the buy box, fill it completely, and then went to the TP box as well. Good trade.
Happy days for Lee. Okay, right. So now, done talking. Let's do some charting. So remember, the narrative and the feeling that I have is that although these guys are going to be taking some hit, don't let that necessarily expect that's going to spill over into the crypto space, because for coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, they don't suffer from the same restrictions and the same problems as the rest of the world economy does. And I think that is something that we need to just, kind of invest and trade towards with that narrative. Okay, so that being said, let's look at Bitcoin now. So we now know that we still have a dollar that has not given us that ultimate sign of weakness that's going to signal we're ready to go. And I think if that happens, that will coincide with Bitcoin taking out our shorts and breaking above this level. And the argument is, I want to see a daily candle convincingly go above this, close above this, and then continue on higher in order for that to fit. So that is going to be the narrative that we kind of need to look out for. So when we look at the Dixie, we want to see the dollar cost, the Dixie, break below this range and move into this area. If it then comes back, I'm fine with it, but I want to see it lose this range, because it's going to be the first time that the previous high doesn't end up being the support for the next low. Previous high, support for the next low. Remember now, so we only at that area there. I want this to fall back in here and then do that, because now we are not climbing the steps anymore. We're creating a ceiling. So that's the important thing. So we're still way off from that. Okay, so now let's take our Bitcoin and then let's think about our trade and our Bitcoin swing position. So remember, we gave you guys the entry. We gave you guys the secondary entry as well at 18,600. I showed you guys the magic of that 50% fib, and the original entry we gave you guys as well based on this swing over here. And there was the entry at 18,200. Okay, so we've had multiple of these entries now. So we're all sitting in some good gains. Where's my stop? Well, for the entries that I've taken over here, I'm not going to move my stop up into this area here because Lee explained it to you guys last week as well, that this is still a probable retrace area. So you're just going to put yourself in a position where your trade is going to be amongst other people's buys and hopeful buys. And, I missed the bottom, so I might get in over here and vice versa. So I don't want to have my stop there, and neither should anybody that's thinking about a swing do that, because you're going to put it where everybody else is. So my stop still needs to be sitting below this level here, which means 18,900 is still going to be the highest that I will move my stop up, because I still can expect something like this to about 20K and then go. Okay, so that is my swing. Now I want to talk about my swing short. So when we moved into this 20,800 level, I said, listen, guys, I'm not going to short just yet. I need structure. It's not just a case about not all, 19,000s were great 19,000s. I mean, if you bought there and it went back down, it was a horrible feeling. If you bought it a day later, 19,000 would have been an amazing feeling because it rallied to 22. So for that reason, not all 20,800s will be same. You need to get the right one, the one that then leaves the range and actually goes and does what it's supposed to do. Now for that, I'm just going to dive into a smaller time frame. So I'm going to flip over to the 4 hour, and I'm going to do this analysis for you guys again with the 4 hour. So the argument is simple. For now, I see Bitcoin ranging. So I just want to get the right drawing tool. There we go. That being the upper end of the range, and this being the lower end of the range. And immediately we can reduce some of these support resistance levels, and we can remove the previous ranges as we had. I tend to leave, for anybody that is new, I tend to leave the old drawings there because it's easy for you to refer back to what was said on previous streams, so you can see that we indeed don't just guess and claim that we get stuff right. We get our analysis right every now and then on a regular basis. Okay, so with that being said, looking at where we're at now, you can see that we're close to the half level. So where do we want to short? You guys need to know now. We want to short in that range there. And where do we want to long? We want to long in that range there. If we can get these two areas for longs and shorts, that would be the ideal swing. Now, this pullback over here was the pullback that initiated the range for me. Now, I don't know, if I look at it from Lee's Elliott perspective, Lee might have different narratives of how low he wants this to go and so forth. But remember, each trader will have its own strategy, and you need to find what works for you, but stick to it. It's no use that you flip between strategies and setups willy-nilly, because you might be catching all the losers on one side. The odds that I've catched all the winners are flipping between a strategy. I've never seen this happen. So that's something to take note. So currently where price is at 20,500, for me, it's not a buy nor a short. I want to see these highs taken out. And then at that stage, I want to see some bearish divergence. Because at the moment, what I have is I've got an RSI that is not supporting me on the 4 hour for short swing. So if I want this to happen, I want to see this price rally up back to these high levels here between 20,800, somewhere over there. But then I need to see the RSI do exactly the same and give me a bearish divergence. So if I'm going to try and short below 20,800, I need, if this is the high that I want to try and short the shakeout on, I need an RSI to break this pivotal high over here. meaning to stay below that pivotal high there. If price goes and shakes and goes even higher, I need and stays below the upper red line of 2100. This is going to be the pivotal high that I'm going to use. And then I need the RSI to go above it because price is going to stay below it. Now, which version of bearish divergence I'm going to get, it's a guessing game. I'm going to have to trade it as it prints. If I get the second one, that would probably be the worst of the two to have, because that's strong and that's going to change the trend for us, meaning that this bull trend might be wrong. But if we get the hidden one, the smaller one, that's going to put us in the continuation of the original, of the current move, but the bigger move still going to be in play. So that's going to be the 2 points that I'm going to just consider. So I want to try and get in on that short there. We're in a take profit zone there, and I want the RSI to give me a reason to do so. Until it does that, I can't do anything. Let's look at the previous 4-hour swings. You can see there was a high. There we did make a higher high and a lower low. Subsequently, I didn't take that one. I wasn't available at that stage. And sometimes you miss trades as well, but it doesn't mean that you can't take the next one and add onto that position. Now, for the long setup, if I want to add to my position, which I do want to do, I'm still holding the one from down under, but I want to add to my long position. The argument for this is the same. What we are doing at the moment is we're making higher highs on each one of these pivots, and you can see that we're making lower lows. So the bullish side is still in favor. So all I want to do is I want to create some sort of a structure within this area over here. Create a range. If I break through that range, I can then either use that as an add position. Now, when I say add, you just need to know that I'm going to buy on leverage more position. The goal is to bring my P&L, which is currently sitting at my entry, which is at 18,375, currently where I'm at. So there is where my break even is. I'm going to add enough on that move to bring my position up to this level over here. That's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to buy enough Bitcoin so that that break-even level moves up to that, or that my average entry price is sitting at that price point, depending on which exchange you're going to be using. That's the goal. Remember, because if we break above this, we will probably come back and test this range, similar to that what we did over there when we broke through the range. And then I can add some more. Then I will be able to add enough to bring this up to there. I don't want to be within this range ever. My stop always needs to be below this range, because remember, if we zoom out, this is the negotiation zone. Anything in this area is going to be where we are negotiating in Bitcoin. So if I move my stop to in that range, or touching in within that structures of that range, if we were to come back and test this negotiation zone, say we go there, we come back, we spend more time, and then we break out, my stop will get hit, or I will be in drawdown. I don't want to risk any of my position doing so. Hope it makes sense. Fibonacci Lee?
Yes, buddy.
So, with that being said, we also, last week, Wednesday, we looked at a couple of alts. I want to quickly spend some time on those, and let's quickly see where we're at. Any interesting comments or any questions in the comments that I need to maybe pay attention to?
I don't see any
really
comments at all. So I'm a guest here as well. I think there's only like 4 or 5 guests watching us. I don't know. There's no question. There's Fallen Angel looking at the USDT dominance. Yes, that's a good chart to look at. Definitely. But I don't see any questions. So I believe that everything's been well explained.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Well, let's do the same then quickly for Ethereum. I'm going to be very brief with Ethereum with you guys, because the same is going to be true for what Bitcoin. You can see Ethereum is in a negotiation range. Big picture wise, guys, just to take note.
Your chart.
Oh, thanks, Lee. So weekly wise, this is the big momentum that a lot of retail traders will consider. And as you can see, this was the original short that we took. Okay. And now we back in a negotiation range from the long that we took. Let me open the daily from the long that we took over here. So we're sitting in a situation where there's the long, and we're in that negotiation range. But Ethereum is already above the 50% level. It's already holding strong. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying like these are small little clues. That means that we might still see Bitcoin go above this level and start moving up. And we might still get that Ethereum move to about, 2,200 even as such. So Ethereum does look really good. Trade setup wise, guys, we're in a negotiation zone. It's going to be the same tricky thing as Bitcoin. To just buy at this stage, you're going to be exposing yourself to a lot of chop. What you would want to do is you're going to want to flip into, say, like a 4-hour smaller time frame, and you want to look at the lateral range around that area, and you want to buy the fear of that range. Where will the fear be? It will be down here somewhere. So it will be a 1,415. If you don't get that, that's going to be your terms of the negotiation. You have to be okay. That's why we do act when we get into the right area. So just remember that going forward. Okay, and then what we did is we also looked at, I'm going to quickly have a look. We looked at Axie Infinity. And what we did is with Axie Infinity, this was last week, Wednesday. Just put a vertical line in there. So this is where we were, I think, last week, Wednesday. I said to you guys, if we go back down to the 50 level of this structure, remember, this is a power candle. It engulfs this whole area. 50% is where the orders are going to wait for continuation. That is your cue to get back in. So with Axie Infinity, we did that. We reloaded. We're back in. And we actually went to the resistance ranges. Remember, like I said, this is going to be the first point where price is going to want to sell off. The previous lows is going to be the tops for the next high. So now we are holding on support. We are holding strong. So you should have taken your profit there, and now we're sitting with the remaining position in here. So if this happens and we start getting our rally and we get above that range, that's going to be the initiation of a new lateral range. Any failure to make a higher high in this area is going to be my cue to look for a short. So any bearish divergence, if we go back up, any bearish divergence, because what are we doing? We got a rejection from a key level, and we're not actually getting back into previous support levels. We're still fighting the original resistance levels. So play with the tide, play with the resistance levels. So if that happens, that's going to be the cue there. So just keep that in mind. Everybody else that's maybe still in and didn't take profit, you cannot move your stop closer just yet because we can still wick down back to these levels again. So your stop should still be sitting below that candle area there. Should still be sitting below $1.20. Now let's move over to DOT. So this was us. And the argument that I had was DOT is still going to go and do this. We just get to the daily. DOT is still going to do this. There's the power candle. There's the engulfment of this whole area. And DOT didn't disappoint us on that. So it went back. I don't know how close you want to call that to a pixel perfect entry, but that was a really good pixel perfect entry. DOT, however, hasn't rallied in the same way that Axie Infinity has rallied just yet. But remember now, look at where the resistance is. The previous lows will be the next preceding tops. Until we break back into this area, your DOT trade is going to be at risk. So you cannot move your stop into this fighting range, because this is still going to be where price is going to want to chop until it moves up or until it fails down. So depending on your time frame and depending on how you've traded, if you took a leveraged position, you should have been taking profit. But if you took a long-term swing, your goal is not going to be to buy at 6 and sell at 6.5. Your goal is going to be to play the upper end of these ranges, 8, 10, 12. And those are possibilities for DOT. But we first need to now get above the initial resistance level. And that's going to be sitting at $6.78. So keep an eye on it. I'm liking what I'm seeing with DOT, because what are we doing? Okay. DOT is making higher highs and higher lows, and the RSI is giving us lower lows. although it's giving us lower highs as well. So it's grinding its way there. But normally when we get these lower lows on higher highs, it's a telltale sign that there's some hidden buying happening there. So just keep an eye on it. Don't buy it now. Please don't FOMO late into these things, because your risk is still going to be down here. You're going to have to carry a stop limit of 10%, 11%. So your profit, the risk to reward ratio for you is gone. So you're going to have to look for another coin that's maybe late to this, that has maybe just done this power setup, and then you can apply that to try and get that entry. Did we get to near last week? Can't remember if we get to, no, we didn't do near. Did we do theta? I don't think we got to theta. And this is SNX. We shared SNX a while ago, so I'm just going to quickly look at this. This was the big time frame buy that was looking in SNX. So these were the range lows, range highs, and we're in that buy area, and we slowly but surely trending out. SNX, I'm still looking at, and I'm thinking that around $3, $3.60 would be the end of this move. So just keep that in mind. But yes, SNX is going to be choppy. It's going to be tricky. So don't just go and buy leverage where it's at this stage. It will realistically cost you a lot of money if it fails. And just one thing, what I mean about for DOT and all the other coins, if you have a look at where the resistance was, there's the resistance. There's the power candle buy. Remember, big candle, come and buy the 50%. Let me just put that 50% on that candle. There, there's the power candle buy. You can see it nice and clear. So this is where your DOT, your Axie Infinity, and those are. They're at this area where they just now moved into this range. They're fighting above this area over here. Now you can see what I mean by how price can still go in harm's way. Anybody that was over here thinking that they were a genius, they would probably got stopped out there just to see price then go in their direction. Frustrating when it happens. But that's because of we think that the move is done. You don't have to worry about it. Then they come and take your stop. But now when we look at this from this area, this is the original resistance range. Let me just delete that line because I've now drawn them twice. This is the original resistance range. Once we're in that range, you can see that we range within the previous one, and now we're breaking above this area. So now where are we going to move towards? We're going to move towards this area over here where this resistance is sitting. We might range a little bit there, chop, and then we'll move into the bigger areas. So if we start getting into this area, we're going to start opening and start getting some bigger gains, some bigger moves. So then it's going to start moving a little bit faster. So if that happens, that will only probably happen when you see a Bitcoin break above this half level on the daily. And when Bitcoin does that, that's when you can start expecting the higher targets for your SNX. So there's a little bit of expectation management with this. So if you hold these positions and you're thinking, well, it's going to go there, it's going to get that $3 or $4, just consider the fact that you need Bitcoin to play ball. I've got a cable pressing my mouse button. Bitcoin needs to play ball, get above this range, and actually start attacking these highs in order for this to happen. That's it. That's everything from me. Let's quickly go through. Is there any questions now? Anything else? Let's quickly see. $1 million question. Should I sell everything today to buy back tomorrow? Lee, do you have $1 million in your wallet from Shopbit so that you can answer this one? Because he's willing to pay $1 million for the answer.
Well, send it to me and answer you tomorrow then. No, you don't sell in it. You don't sell today. Well, last Thursday we talked about this Elliott wave, and I'm still bullish. My sentiment is still bullish. I still favor longs over shorts. To be precise, I'm waiting for 21.6, 21.7 for this pattern to play out. Really, if you want to share my chart, I think we are ranging in terms of Elliott wave inside this.
I don't have a button to share your chart, Lee.
I'm still waiting for the $1 million. That's why I'm not sharing it.
Yeah, no $1 million, no screen share. There you go, buddy.
For me, I'm still looking at this. So from this top here, 21,000 to went above, I think we are doing this kind of triangle pattern inside this fourth wave. Okay, and if we break this pattern, and this is the only time you're gonna see some kind of trend line on my chart, is for you to see this triangle forming from A to C, from B to D. And so once we break this triangle, so now the best scenario is for me is to break this triangle to the upside. And that will mean that we're going to start the fifth leg towards this 21.7, even 22K kind of range. Okay. But bear in mind, there is still a bearish count, bearish scenario that can play out if we break this to the downside. And that is where I think, Rudo, you want to add more position long. That would be between 19. I think if we break this triangle to the downside, 19.7, 19.5.
No, I don't want to touch any of that anymore. If we go there now, I'm going to trade it bearish. That's why I'm shorting for if that happens.
Oh yeah. So the next trade for long or short, I mean, for me is these 2 points, B, C and D. If you wanna go long, once we break this triangle, we put the stop loss here for this long. But it's gonna be a short-term long. I mean, 21.6, 21.7. That will be your first TP. And if we go short, if we break this triangle to the downside, then that pivot here will be the stop loss for short. Other than that, if we go to 21.6, 21.7, that will be another scenario where we can end the fifth wave, and there will be another area to short at the higher stage. But still, for me, if we go to this 21.7, sorry, this kind of area, that short is going to take us back towards the 20,000K and retest of this range, and then we should go even higher than that. So on the Elliott wave count, we can dive a little bit more on Thursday. I'm still leaning towards this bullish side.
So what I'll do is, Shop Hit, I will give you $1 million discount on your question and say, I won't be selling everything today to buy back tomorrow, because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and neither does anybody else. What you can do, if you're over in a position, you can sell a little bit to buy a bargain, if that's the narrative. But you need to always know that nobody never, ever knows what's going to happen next. We look at trends to try and predict what, if the trend continues, what the outcome could be. And when we get these entries, per pixel perfect entries, it does create the illusion that maybe we can see what's going to happen next. But sorry, buddy, I'm just as worried when I take those entries as anybody else that my stop's going to get hit, because nobody likes to get, to give a little bit of money to find out, but that's part of the business. So just keep that in mind. And then let's say Kusama is far behind. We're running out of time. Head over, I'll have a look at Kusama, and I'll post a chart in the Discord for you guys. If it does have that same power candle structure, I'll post it in the Discord for you guys. That's it. I see our crypto granny is back. Haven't heard from her in ages, so thanks for joining in. And everybody else, we really do appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time with us. Remember, you can join our Discord. All you need to do is just head over to the Discord and head over to the Get Premium Access channel. The QR code or the link's in the description, or you can just scan the QR code. I'll pop it up on the screen quickly. There you go, 2 QR codes. Once you do, just select the exchange of your choice. These are all partnership exchanges that will sponsor your subscription fee to access the premium trade group, or you can just outright subscribe to access the premium trade group or access the trading indicators that we do. Remember, tomorrow, we're going to be looking at these trading indicators again, and we're going to be looking at what they showed us last week, and maybe they can get us that Doge short, because I want to short a Doge. Lee, do you want to short it?
Yes, definitely. But next week, hopefully we can still have 1 week of green, especially until today, tomorrow. Let's maybe look at short maybe on Thursday, Friday, which, time-wise, if you are bullish, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we kind of going up. And then if you have to retrace a little bit, it restarts normally from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that would be my plan.
That's it. So, guys, as always, keep hustling. Lee, thanks so much for taking the time, listening to me ramble over Wyckoff and fundamentals. I know you hate fundamentals, but you do it with style. You listen to it with style. I do appreciate it. Cheers, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Keep hustling.